give you advice or comfort for others who might be going through the same kind of problem or suffering. Now again, you know, if you have a couple you're working with and you say, if I had another couple that came in with this problem, what would you say to me to tell them? Well, don't give up hope, they'll say. Okay, great, that's helpful. And when they're giving you that advice for another couple, they're sort of giving it to themselves. This is a slightly different example, sort of based on more of the past one, the competence one. But I had a kid, a teenager, who was sent to see me, and I don't know if you ever had, I don't know if you work with teenagers that much, but parents say, he's got a lot of anger inside. I want you to get in there and get that anger out. It's crazy. I mean, it's really difficult. So this kid comes in and he's like this the whole time. You know, he is not interested. He's been getting in fights in school, and he tells me I don't get it, because if somebody disses you, you have to stand up for yourself, or everybody loses respect for you. I just don't understand how it is to be a teenager these days. So I'm working with him for about 3 or 4 weeks. And every week he's getting into a fight and getting kicked out of school, suspended from school. He's not really impressed with me as a counselor, neither am I. And he doesn't really want to be there, but his parents want him to be there, his school wants him to be there, and they keep sending him to me. And finally, about 4 weeks into it, I get another referral from another school of a kid who's getting in fights and getting kicked out of school. And he's going to come and see me the next day. So I say to this kid, you know I haven't been that helpful to you, but maybe you could be helpful to me. He said, what? I said, well, I got another kid coming in. He's getting in fights, getting kicked out of school. You have a lot of experiences. What advice do you have? What should I tell him? He said, well, you got to tell him he's got to think before he acts. Okay, what if he says he can't? He just, somebody disses him and he reacts. He just doesn't have time to think. He said, well, then tell him to count to 10 and take a deep breath. And think about the consequences of what he's going to do. Like, he's going to get sent to the principal's office. He's going to have to go see some shrink like you. His parents are going to get mad at him. This and that. So he tells me, so tell this to the kid. So the next night, the other kid comes in and I tell him this, and he's not that impressed with that either. And the first kid comes back the next week, and he hasn't been kicked out of school. I say, what do you mean? You didn't get into a fight this week? He said, nah, somebody bumped me, but I took a deep breath. I counted 10. I thought about the consequences. He'd taken his own good advice. So again, I could have told him that. I bet he would have said, that's ridiculous. But when he told me that, it was something different. So that's what I'm looking for with this. What do people know that I don't know, that even if I gave them as good advice, they wouldn't accept it? But if they give it to me as their indigenous knowledge and their wisdom and their coping mechanism, their competence, that they might be able to use or realize it's a good solution for them, or at least a partial solution for them. They may not solve everything in their problem situation. It may not make their lives totally great, but it'll move them a little more in the direction of doing better, whatever that may be. So